I'm probably the most common man that they ran into, and I ain't scared to speak what I think. I very straightforward. I don't lie to you. I'm going to tell you whether I'm going to support what you want or what you don't want, and I'll give you a reason of why I don't. We could agree to disagree, and that's all right, because I think that's healthy. As I tell everybody, my wife and I have been married for 46 years, and we haven't agreed on everything in 46 years, and I don't expect you and I to. But I'll at least be honest with you when I get done. And you'll walk away saying, oh, that's okay, I don't agree with Jeff, but he didn't lie to me. When you wake up every day, where I wake up here on the farm, and you look around and you got your children and your grandchildren living here on the farm with you, and you see that you can make a difference in Augusta even if you are in the minority, I figure it's time that I stay there and finish the job I was sent out to do. And so I plan on running, my 4 years, my 4 terms in the House, and then going to do my 4 terms in the Senate, and I'll consider that I've done my service to the state of Maine, because the people of the state of Maine need the common sense and just good old Yankee ingenuity thinking, and I think that's what I bring to the Maine State Senate at this point in time in my life. And I think it's important to understand where we're headed in the state of Maine. I tell you, when I came into the legislature in 2010, 2011, the legislature was a different body than it is today. Because it's always nicer when you're in the majority, and in my first term we served in the majority in the House, but it was still a different attitude. It wasn't as partisan as it's turned into in the last few years, and I've watched it over the last few years get more and more and more partisan. I think that the Maine legislature is taking on a lot of the terms of Washington, getting more like Washington every day, and I blame that not on the legislators. I blame it on the special interest groups that are involved, that are coming in involved. We have more special interest groups in the halls of Augusta than we've ever had in our life and in my world, and I think they are creating this divide that never existed before. For me, it was very interesting, because I wanted leadership for a change, and it was very relaxing to me. I got to serve on the VLA committee and the Government Oversight Committee. I found I get to be a lot more involved by not being in leadership. When you're in leadership, you got too many hats to wear, and you got to cover too many bases. And when you're just serving on your committee, I built a lot more friends from the other side of the aisle, and we created a lot more camaraderie. So I've found it a very, very good 2 years of my life, even though I don't like the outcomes of things that have happened. But I think that we made a difference, in a lot of different things. And I think that it's been an interesting 2 years, but fun. Overregulation. Maine businesses are being overregulated. They're being regulated beyond their ability to compete. Maine is at the end of the food chain in the state of Maine. We're up in that, that northeast corner, and Maine has to compete on a national market, actually on a worldwide market. And when we keep passing laws in Maine that no other state in the country has, then we put every Maine business at a disadvantage. And we can't do that. And that's happening more and more and more all the time, because we are such a cheap date in Maine that all these special interest groups that I talked about earlier are coming in and playing, because it's real easy to make a change in Maine. So that's the problem that I see. Maine has to stop being the first at everything it does, because that is what's hurting us more than anything else and making our businesses in Maine not compatible. I think the problem with Maine residents is that cost of inflation has gone through the roof. I don't know how we stop that in this world, because interest rates are going up, housing is going up. It's costing more to live in Maine, for God's sakes, now than it does to live in Washington, D.C. And that just doesn't make sense to me. You know, I wonder what we're thinking when we do all these things that just keep raising the cost of everything due. This ridiculous raising of minimum wage every single year by indexing, and the index jumps, and all we do is keep forcing the cost of everything to go up and up and up. I mean, you know, it's costing you $25 for you and your wife to go to McDonald's now, when I can remember it was only 2 or 3 years ago you could go there for 12. And that's all caused because we keep passing costs on to our businesses and the people of the state of Maine. And you know, when your grocery bill is up 30% of what it was 2 years ago, that's all caused because we've created an artificial inflation in the state of Maine. And I think it's awful what we're doing to the people, but you can't keep giving stuff away, because there is no such thing as a free dollar. Somebody has to pay for it. And when somebody pays for it, it's the people of the state of Maine that are having to pay for that dollar. In order to right this ship, we need to take a real good look at where we came from, and how did we get there, and what was our main values. I think it's important that we look at where we want to go, and we need to right this ship, stop passing new laws, repeal some of the laws that are there, and take a look at how we turn the clock back. It's time that we can repeal some of this stuff that makes so we can't even use our dumps in the state of Maine. We can't even use our landfills. We can't even, you know, use our farmland. We're passing so many regulations on to the people. We need to look at how we back that off and act more like the rest of the country. LD 779 is one of my biggest disappointments. I really thought we stood a chance when I saw the vote in the Senate. I really thought the House would do it. That's been a big disappointment. But I think the disappointment is not getting the Office of Child and Family Services where it belongs. Some people believe it's headed there. I still don't think it's where it needs to belong today, and that's something that's still very near and dear to me, and I'll keep working on that.
88 kids have died in the past 3 years, more than the previous 6 years combined. If that's not a crisis, I don't know what is. Unfortunately, Mr. President, the numbers don't lie.
You know, I think it's an absolute horrible thought that the bill passed in the Senate with a 22-8 vote. It goes to the House and gets put on the table, and they didn't even have the courage to take it off the table. I think that's not a good look for the House. I think they were scared to take it off the table because they were scared the votes it was going to have. Because I know for a fact that we had votes on both sides of the aisle. But we're not going away. We're going to stay involved. We're going to keep monitoring what the Department of Health and Human Services is doing, the Office of Child and Family Services, and we'll take a look. And come next December, we'll look and see how we think things are going, or whether we put the bill back in, or whether we even come with a whole new approach. You know, but we're not going away. I'm here to tell you that once you see what's happening to our children in the state of Maine, you want to be involved, and I will be involved, and I will continue to fight for the rights of these children, and then the parents too. contrary to some people believe, you know, I'm a farmer, so because farming is always important to me, but it's not my champion cause. My champion cause has been the elderly, the disabled, and children. I've been a real advocate over my whole term here of trying to support nursing homes, home health. I see that as something that we in the state of Maine have somehow left behind, and we're running behind the 8 ball all the time with it. So it's been something that's been very near and dear to my heart every single year. When I was in leadership, we put every nickel of our money, the one year that we could, into nursing homes and home health care. We've spent a lot of money at it. We don't stay at it like we should. We need to fix this nursing home problem. When you got nursing homes that are only running at 1/3 of their capacity because that's all they can afford, and they're closing every day. We got home health care workers that we could have 3 times as many as we got today, and it probably still wouldn't be enough to do the home health care that we need for the elderly. Remembering Maine is the oldest state in the nation, and we need those people, and we need to find a way to recruit them and get them to work, and that is something that is near and dear to me, and I will fight in my last term to continue that.